Good morning, Mr. President, and again, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Now, for those viewers at home who have never submitted any tax returns and are going to do this for the very first time, what would you say to them is very important here?
I think just to touch on the introductory remarks, in our tax system, employers, those are companies of all sizes who employ people working for them. They play a very important role in the tax system, so that when the tax season starts on the 1st of July, the Revenue Service is able to issue a tax return that is pre-populated, that already has the basic personal and income information of the individual captured on the return. So the individual then verifies it and then submits it. It makes it far easier. So employers have until tomorrow to submit their payroll data to SARS, which will enable us electronically to start to prepare more than 6 million returns for eligible taxpayers who would then start to submit those returns from the 1st of July, when we expect the new Minister of Finance to open the tax season. So their role is very important. People at home who've never submitted a tax return, again this year we will extend all our services within what SARS would be capable of doing. To taxpayers at our branches, we will send out new mobile vehicles, and really e-filing is also the most convenient method and medium for people to use to submit the return.
Now, talking about e-filing, how efficient is it?
It has huge benefits for us across all the tax types that we administer. To give you an example, we collected 899.7 billion rands this year, or for the last fiscal year, which ended on 31 March. And about 310 billion of that total is for personal income tax. So in other words, the pay-as-you-earn and the taxes individuals who earn a salary contribute to the fiscus. Now, if we look at last year's tax season, more than 6 million people submitted their returns. About 98% of all those returns were captured electronically. In other words, the taxpayer either filed on e-filing or they came to a SARS branch office where we were able to sit with them, as the pictures are showing, and then submit the return electronically for the taxpayer in their presence. And that helps us to process their tax affairs within anything from 24 to 72 hours, where most people get certainty about their tax position, and of course, importantly, they can get the refunds far quicker than in the past when it was a more paper-based or paper-reliant system.
Now, the deadline is the 30th of May, is that correct?
For employers, yes. They must submit the payroll data to SARS. In other words, all the pay-as-you-earn that they deduct from this monthly salary of the employee, a reconciliation for the year must be done. In other words, the employer must show, this is what I've deducted on behalf of employee X, this is what I've paid over to SARS, and SARS then checks that through an automated process with the employer, and that then would allow us to prepare the income tax return in preparation for the 1st of July.
Now, if you don't submit on time on the 30th, you got problems. You indicated that there'll be stiff penalties for those employers who do not comply or miss the deadline. Talk to us about those stiff penalties.
That's correct, yes. The obligation to submit the payroll information to SARS, obviously it's a legal requirement. So if the employer fails, we then look at the payroll and impose penalties which may increase monthly. And it really depends on the situation. If the employer comes to us by tomorrow and say, look, I've got serious problems, can you help us? We'll obviously take a far more sympathetic view. But we have instances where employers deduct the pay-as-you-earn from the individual, they don't pay it over to SARS, and obviously that's statutory fraud. So we'll have to take more stronger actions in such instances, because it leaves the people working for them in a very disadvantageous position, in that they can't readily submit a tax return. They can't claim if refunds are due to them, if they've been overtaxed, or if they've got medical expenses. So we take stronger action against defaulting employers if there's no effort from their side to engage us, ask for assistance, and so on.
Now, there's also a steady increase in email scams and phishing attacks in which the SARS brand is being abused. Could you tell us more about that?
That's a worrying trend that we see every year. I think most banks or other financial services providers are also victims of such activity. Now, when we start on the 1st of July and we escalate our communications and marketing campaigns, and we want to inform people more broadly, obviously people use that window of opportunity to start sending fraudulent emails, SMSs, and other forms of communication to taxpayers, promising them a refund. In all of those examples, our cautionary note to taxpayers is always, when you submit your tax return, immediately you will know, is a refund due to me? Does SARS owe me money? Or do I have to pay in additional tax? Do I owe SARS money? If you do it at the branch, if you do it on e-filing, you get an instantaneous outcome of your tax position. Anything beyond that may appear to be suspicious to you, don't act on it. Don't disclose your ID number, your bank account details, any personal information to unauthorized third parties asking for such information on email, SMS, or any other form of communication. If you're uncertain, please call our call center so we can give you proper advice. If SARS needs to make changes to your any information on your tax file on our system, we would ask you to come to the office, present yourself in person with your ID so we can verify you are who you say you are. But please don't disclose any personal information to third parties. People use that to access your bank account, to commit fraud in your name or fictitious claims for refunds to the fiscus. And the taxpayer may then be liable for such money that is paid out irregularly. So in no instance must people disclose such information.
And just briefly, that contact number there, Adrian, that people can call?
It's on our website, sars.gov.za. You will find there the call center. It's an 0800 number, which is toll-free. There will also be another number where you can report any suspicious activity. Or if you receive any of these emails that promise you a refund, ask for your bank details, you can also report that to us.
Adrian, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
That was SARS spokesperson Adrian Lackay joining us from our Pretoria studios.